of your speech on working against identity politics. Yet, I think so conveniently, and it was kind of ignorant, that all of your examples of oppression or people going through struggle were all from the black community. So if you could so conveniently use one specific ethnicity to kind of propagate your ideals, is that not identity politics in itself?
You allege I only spoke about what black people face in this society, and that that's a form of identity politics. In fact, it is not. First of all, I spoke about the Bangladeshi women in the sweatshops sewing our clothes. I talked about women who've been forced to have children against their will in that form of enslavement. I spoke about trans people who have faced over 500 laws this year introduced or passed, not to mention the terror that's enforced against them. I spoke about what happens on this planet as a whole as it is heating due to the destruction of climate change driven forward by the system of capitalism, imperialism. So if you missed all that, I'm not surprised if you also missed some of the scientific undergirdings of it. But to be fair, I will walk through it again. I speak about black people in a very pronounced way when we come to revolution, because the exploitation, the enslavement, the dehumanization, and the degradation that's been inflicted on black people is foundational to this society and this system. And that is scientifically a fact. It's evidence-based. The wealth of this country, the territorial reach of this country, the military strength of this country got its roots in American slavery, the chattel slavery of black people. And then on that foundation, the ideology of white supremacy, of black inferiority, was propagated. It was made a bedrock, of one of the glues of this society, and it has been woven into this society ever since. The forms of oppression have changed. It took a civil war to end slavery, but then what happened? After not even 10 years of Reconstruction, where black people were brought into some rights within this country, that was betrayed. The troops were pulled out, and black people were re-enslaved in new conditions, slavery by another name, sharecropping for generations, serf-like conditions enforced through terror, lynch mob terror and violence. And the troops were pulled out to go and finish off the extermination of the native peoples. Okay? Then another generation comes up in the face of changes in the U.S. economy and the need to pull black people out of the South and into the factories. Black people stood up and they waged struggle in a civil rights movement. They gave their lives. They stood up. White people stood with them. They went down from the North and stood with them. This upended Jim Crow. It was heroic that many did just unbelievably brave things. And then that was dismantled. And what did this system come back with? A new Jim Crow of mass incarceration that has ground up millions of black lives. So when I tell the story, this is science, when I tell the story of a black woman in Harlem with binoculars next to her window watching in terror every time her 12-year-old, 13-year-old son crosses the street because of what police do every day to black people. Every fucking day. When I talk about that, that is a particular that concentrates a huge reality that is defining to this country. And that's scientifically true. It's evidence-based. It's woven into the fabric of this society. It's culture, it's economics, and it's global reach. And so we could debate. If you want to argue that's not scientific, bring some evidence. If you didn't hear the science, then please. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me that it's a marginal thing. Tell me that to talk about that, I'm pimping off of it. I'm acknowledging reality. You want to say it's not defining to this country, that we shouldn't talk about it?
I want you to talk about it.
I am talking about it, yeah.
Okay, so just the fact that something actually happened or is true,
yeah,
doesn't, anything that's empirically based is not science, right? It's like saying anything that's true is a scientifically, like, it's science. It's not. So I understand.
Okay. Okay. Let me help. Oh, go ahead. Maybe he should get the mic.
I understand that your point is I want to be building arguments based on reason and rationale.
Here, take the mic just so it gets.
I understand that your point is I want to be building arguments on reason and rationale, but that doesn't mean that it's scientific, and that doesn't mean that it's false or wrong.
Okay.
I'm saying that the validity of your argument doesn't increase by throwing the word science out. Is all I'm trying to say.
Okay, so I would argue that science actually can be applied to all of reality, not just narrowly in engineering or in the natural sciences. No, this is important. What you're raising is widely felt, it's widely believed, it's widely taught, I'm sure, on this campus, that you can apply science to medicine, to nature, to the natural world. There's the hard sciences, but when you get to social reality, it's just opinions, it's experience, whatever. No. You can apply science to everything. Everything that is part of reality, which societies are, can be analyzed scientifically. Yeah. All science means, in a universal sense, is it's an evidence-based process. You gather evidence about reality, and you look for the deeper causes of the patterns in reality. And you can apply that to a society, just like you can apply it to a rainforest, just like you can apply it to a virus. You can say, what is the most defining thing about any given society? What undergirds it? What are the laws and its functioning? And a scientific analysis of this society says the most defining thing about this country is it's a capitalist, imperialist mode of production. That all of our needs are met through exploitation and people laboring in conditions all over the world to get the food we need, the clothes we wear, the pens we use, the microphones. All of this is created through global networks of production. And that all of our cultures, all of our ways of living, all of our ways of relating grow out of and have to reflect and more or less correspond to that. And so when we live in a society where the exploitation and oppression of black people has been woven into that mode of production all the way down to today, it leads to the culture and the society and the kind of police terror that we have today. That's applying science to a social